Picture the most magnificent kingdom ever built. A river of pure gold cutting through the desert. Temples so tall, they seem to touch the clouds. And at the center of it all, the most powerful person on earth. Gold. Everywhere you look. Gold, jewelry, statues, dust. More gold than you could spend in 1,000 lifetimes. This wasn't a fairy tale, this was real life, 3,000 years ago in ancient Egypt. Let's zoom out and set the scene. Here is Northeast Africa, and flowing right through it, like a great blue ribbon, is the Nile River. This one river made everything possible. It brought water to the desert. It gave life to the farms. And along its banks rose one of the greatest civilizations in all of human history, ancient Egypt. What if you were the richest king in the entire world? Egypt's history is so long, it can be hard to wrap your head around it. The Old Kingdom, that is when the Great Pyramids were built. Then the Middle Kingdom, a time of art and trade. And then the New Kingdom. This is our story, and right in the golden heart of the New Kingdom, our Pharaoh appears. The Nile Valley, green fields, blue water, and golden desert cliffs. For thousands of years, this landscape was the engine of Egypt's power, and around 1380 years before the birth of Jesus, a boy stepped onto its royal throne. His name was Amenhotep III, and when he became pharaoh, he may have been as young as you. Imagine that, sitting on a golden throne, wearing the double crown of all Egypt, while the most powerful priests in the world bow before you. Terrifying? Probably. Amazing? Absolutely. Here is something remarkable. 3,000 years ago, kings sent each other letters, pressed into wet clay with a pointed reed. We call these the Amarna Letters, and more than 350 of them have survived to today. They're like ancient text messages, except instead of a phone, you used mud. As a young ruler, Amenhotep had experienced advisors around him, wise ministers, royal priests, and his mother, Queen Tiye. But as he grew older, something became very clear. This pharaoh had a gift, not for war, but for something perhaps even more powerful. Friendship. South of Egypt lay the land of Nubia, and beneath its rocky hills, something extraordinary was hidden. Gold. Enormous amounts of it. Egypt controlled these mines, and year after year, the gold poured north, filling the royal treasuries of Thebes. And it wasn't just gold. Ships arrived from across the ancient world carrying exotic animals, rare spices, colored glass, silver, ivory, and cedarwood. Foreign kings didn't just trade with Egypt. They competed to send Amenhotep the best gifts. Everyone wanted to be his ally. Now, Amenhotep actually wrote to a foreign king and said that in Egypt, gold was, and I am quoting here, as plentiful as dust. As plentiful as dust. If someone said that today, we'd think they were joking. But in Amenhotep's Egypt, it was real. We know this because the letters themselves survived, baked into clay, buried in desert sand, preserved for over 3,000 years, until archaeologists dug them up in 1887. The words of pharaohs and kings, speaking to us across 30 centuries. But here is where things get truly spectacular, because Amenhotep didn't just collect wealth, he used it to build. And the scale of what he built, it had never been seen before in the ancient world. Welcome to Luxor Temple. Step inside. Enormous columns stretch above you, each one taller than a 5-story building. Every surface is covered in painted scenes and hieroglyphics. The colors were vivid: red, gold, turquoise, white. The smell of incense hung in the air. Priests moved silently in the half-light. This wasn't just a building, it was a world. And then there are these 2 giant seated statues of Amenhotep himself, each one 18 meters tall. That is roughly as tall as 10 giraffes stacked on top of each other. They were the guardian gates of his great mortuary temple. And here is the most incredible part: you can go stand next to them today. They are still there in Luxor, Egypt, right now. Amenhotep also built himself a palace city called Mulkata, an entire royal complex on the west bank of the Nile. It had temples, royal apartments, servants' quarters, and its own enormous artificial lake. The remains were found. Pieces of brilliantly painted plaster walls have been excavated, giving us glimpses of just how colorful and alive this place once was. And throughout his reign, Amenhotep's royal workshops were producing statues, hundreds of them. Statues of himself, statues of the gods, black granite, white limestone, gold-leafed alabaster. Archaeologists believe the number may have reached into the thousands. Today, his statues sit in the greatest museums on every continent. Now, we cannot tell the story of Amenhotep without talking about the extraordinary woman beside him, Queen Tiye. She was not born into royalty, but Amenhotep chose her above all others as his great royal wife. And she was far more than a ceremonial queen. She was a force. Foreign kings wrote their letters not just to Amenhotep, but directly to Tiye herself. They valued her counsel. They asked for her influence. Ancient texts show us a queen who sat at the heart of international diplomacy, not behind the throne, but right beside it. A small carved portrait of Tiye, made from wood, glass, and gold, survives to this day in a museum in Berlin. It is considered one of the finest portraits of any person from the ancient world. For the ancient Egyptians, the gods were not just stories. They were real as the Nile, as real as the sun overhead. The most powerful of all was Amun, king of the gods, source of all creation, and Amenhotep was his earthly representative, his voice on earth. The Egyptians worshipped many gods. We call this polytheism. There was Amun the creator, Ra the sun god, Osiris the god of the afterlife, and Hathor, goddess of love and music. Every aspect of daily life, farming, health, the flooding of the Nile, had a god watching over it. But here is where Amenhotep did something extraordinary, even for a pharaoh. In the later years of his reign, he declared himself a living god. He took the title, the dazzling sun disk, and had temples built in his own honor, while he was still alive. No pharaoh had gone quite that far before. Okay, let's try to put Amenhotep's wealth into numbers you can actually picture. Today, the richest people in the world are called billionaires. They have private jets, mega yachts, and more money than most countries. But even the wealthiest person alive today doesn't come close to what Amenhotep controlled. Because Amenhotep didn't just have money, he had control. Control of all the gold mines, control of all the farmland, control of the army, the religion, the trade routes, and the law, all at the same time. And remember those giant statues of himself, the Colossi of Memnon. Each one is 18 meters tall. To give you a sense of that, imagine stacking 10 giraffes on top of each other. That is how tall these statues are. Amenhotep didn't just want to be the most powerful king. He wanted you to know about it from very, very far away. Here is one of the most exciting things about history. It doesn't just exist in books. Amenhotep's world is still out there waiting for you. In Cairo, his mummy. In London, his statues. In New York, his jewelry. In Berlin, the portrait of Queen Tiye. You can actually go and stand face to face with ancient Egypt. This is likely how the Colossi of Memnon look like today. And maybe, this is what they would have looked like in Amenhotep's time. 3,000 years of wind, flood, and earthquake have worn them down, but they're still standing. After everything the world has thrown at them, they're still standing. Amenhotep also did something brilliant. He created commemorative scarab beetles. These small blue-green amulets were inscribed with official announcements and royal news bulletins, pressed into faience clay and sent across the empire. Hundreds of them were found. They are, essentially, the world's oldest press release. And in 2010, something extraordinary happened. Scientists used ancient DNA, extracted from royal mummies, to map Amenhotep's family tree. They confirmed which mummy was actually his. So, the man who lived 3,000 years ago, we now know exactly what family he came from. Science met history, and history won. Amenhotep ruled for nearly 40 years. During that time, no major wars on Egyptian soil, no invasions, just peace, prosperity, and building on a scale the world had never seen. He used gold to make friends, he used diplomacy to keep the peace, and he used stone to make sure the world would never forget him. The letters he wrote, still here. The temples he built, still standing. The statues he created, still watching over us in museums. 3,300 years have passed. Entire empires rose and fell. Languages were born and died. And still, Amenhotep III endures. All right, history explorers, let's lock in what we've learned. Amenhotep III, 18th dynasty, ruled for about 37 years, starting around 1388 BCE. He controlled Egypt's gold, the most valuable resource in the ancient world. He built Luxor Temple, the Colossi of Memnon, and Malkata Palace. He sent diplomatic letters to kings across 3 continents. And beside him, every step of the way, the remarkable Queen Tiye. Amenhotep III, the pharaoh who built a golden kingdom, and 3,000 years later, we're still talking about him. If this video took you on an adventure, hit that subscribe button. We have a whole pyramid's worth of history waiting for you. New episodes drop every week. Don't miss them. And we want to know, if you were a pharaoh, what would you build? A giant pyramid? A massive statue of yourself? A palace with a water slide? Tell us in the comments below. We read every single one. Until next time, history explorers, keep asking big questions about this amazing world we live in. See you in the next one.